I love buying gear. Like, guys, can we bond over this for just a moment? Buying gear is so much fun. Sometimes I'll just browse Amazon. Like, I don't even have something in mind to buy. I'll just go there to look. And I know you do it too. I need you to be honest with yourself. 9 times out of 10, I don't actually end up buying anything. I'm very proud of myself for this. The point is, buying gear is fun. But, and I know you hate the but, nobody has made a successful YouTube or streaming career entirely based off of purchasing equipment. I mean, except for like channels based on buying equipment, but that's totally different. That's not what we're talking about today. I would like to open up with you and share 5 pretty expensive purchases I made. Purchases that I see a lot of starting streamers and YouTubers make as well that did nothing for my career, except maybe set it back financially a ways. This one is for you. Huge thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Owned.tv. Owned is your one-stop shop for all your stream aesthetic needs, whether it be overlays, alerts, panels, profile pictures, whatever you need. And amongst all the other amazing ones, there is a brand new overlay pack in the store right now called Alpha Gaming that is, yes, related to this channel. I actually worked with them directly on this overlay pack. Its design is based on the channel's design, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. So if you'd like to make the smart move like many from the community have done, feel free to use the link in the description below to pick up your own overlay pack. Also, that link helps support the channel, so thank you. And also, if you'd like 40% off, feel free to use code ALPHA at checkout. And of course, one more thing other than liking the video to help us with the YouTube algorithm. I do stream every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday on Twitch. So if there's something in here that maybe I don't fully explain or you have a couple questions, feel free to jump in there. I spend every stream in just chatting, answering a lot of questions like this. So link to that in the description below as well. I'll see you there. Let's get started. I've got 5 things that I want to talk about here. Some of these things are single large purchases like this number 1 I'm about to show you. Some of them are actually kind of groups of things that I upgraded over time that ended up not doing anything for me. And the last one is actually an example of something that I feel like a lot of people regret buying and I don't. And I want to explain why it's different than the first 4. So let's just jump into it. The very first thing that I bought that I should not have bought is actually this camera, the Canon 5D Mark IV. Fantastic camera for the time. Camera purchases are genuinely some of the biggest waste of money a lot of new content creators make. They see their favorite vloggers buying camera after camera, lens after lens. They see Peter McKinnon and Linus Tech Tips and MKBHD shooting with $50,000 red cameras, and they think, oh, their videos are so good. If I had a nice camera, mine would also look that good. We'll get into ROI in just a minute, but just letting you know what's good about their videos isn't the camera. Yes, the cameras are good, but they would be able to make videos just as good with a cheaper camera. At the time, I think I was making $4,500 a month total using videography, which is why I justified buying a $3,500 camera, and which of course, then I also had to buy a $1,500 lens to match it. Actually, I think this one's $2,000, but it's not the one I bought at the time. But I was shooting all my personal content, trying to vlog using a Canon 70D, which was a great camera and it did everything just fine. I would look at it and go, it's not what I want it to be. So I broke down and I bought this thing and it actually made my content a little bit worse. It's heavier. So when I was vlogging with it, my arm was shaking a little bit and the footage was shaky. Also, it doesn't have a flip out screen here. So I was often pointing maybe a little bit too high and I couldn't tell. These cameras have a very special purpose and I got a lot of work out of this. This was my stream camera for years, but I can tell you that, you know, after bills and rent and everything, maybe making $700-800 a month, spending 5 months of profit on a camera when I already had a Canon 70D. It just doesn't do much. Cameras are such an interesting one. It's the one that like every creator wants the most because it's what you see, but cameras are one of those things that especially in streaming and on YouTube, the ROI drops off so heavily after, you know, the first $500, or with streaming even less than that. A $50 webcam is 10 times better than a $30 webcam. And then a $200 GoPro cam link combination is 10 times better than that $50 webcam. Then to upgrade beyond that, you have to buy like a $500 camera and a $400 lens. That makes it $900. And it does look better, but does it look $700 better? And then beyond that, you want to go up to full frame like this, and you have to spend $5,000 when most audiences at that point can't even tell the difference between that and the $900 setup. It's important you recognize how much gear is actually going to impact your content, and if it's not going to do that much, spend that money on something else. Anyway, number two hurts me a little bit because it's actually one of my favorite things on stream. It's there we go. This microphone right here, the Blue Kiwi. That is a I don't even want to say how expensive that microphone is because it is a very fancy microphone. You only see that microphone in professional studios, and that's actually why I bought it. I was studying sound recording technology at the time. I thought I was going to be building my own studio, and that was like my first big investment into it. But I was making YouTube videos at the time, music videos. I already had a $150 AKG condenser mic. That was great. But I was watching my favorite YouTube musicians and I saw them using this. It was actually, I don't know if any of you remember Tyler Ward. I was a huge fan of Tyler Ward at the time, and he used this microphone. I was like, that's such a beautiful microphone. I bet that's why his stuff sounds better. And I made an investment in my content, and spoiler, I did not hear a single difference because the actual quality of his music came from understanding mic placement, understanding room treatment, understanding EQ and compression, and what effects to put on a voice that make it pop. Stuff that takes time. It's not something you can just pump money into. But number two is not just the microphone, by the way. It's a lot of my audio equipment, including studio foam, which I learned my lesson from. This studio foam you see right here, Amazon. Like $10 a panel, maybe. Originally, I'd actually bought a ton of really expensive studio Auralex foam that probably cost me $400 or $500 total to put in the blank spaces of my room. I literally could have just placed, some furniture in there, some pillows or whatever, some cheap foam on the walls. And for YouTube videos and live streams, it would have sounded exactly the same. And I learned from this that the reason that expensive pieces of equipment like this microphone exist is because in super high-end fancy studio situations, every tiny little frequency matters. When you're recording 100 tracks and you need them all to layer perfectly in slightly different sound signatures so they fill out the spectrum, you need everything to be exact. When you're streaming something heavily compressed live to Twitch, there's no difference. I actually did a video comparing a $100 mic from Blue, same company, to this $2,000, oh, now you know the price, $2,000 microphone, and it was almost an indistinguishable difference. Nowadays, it's actually like a centerpiece of my stream, and it's beautiful, and people ask about it all the time, and I love my microphone. But if I were to go back 10 years, yeah, that's not what I'd spend $2,000 on. Number three, I'm gonna give you some specific examples, but something that I had the habit of doing at the time was buying little semi-expensive pieces of equipment often that I didn't really need. For example, I bought an electric drum pad for a music video that I used in that music video and nothing else. It was like $300. And yeah, it was cool for that video. Could have shot the video without it. It would have gotten just as many views. Plus, I didn't make a single dollar off that video because it was a cover. We ended up selling it for like $100 4 years later. So I basically spent $200 on nothing. Also another big one, and this will be a surprise because it's one of my favorite devices, but the Stream Deck. The Stream Deck has become a staple of the streamers. It's like you're not a real streamer unless you have one. And I love mine. I use two on my stream. But there are cheaper alternatives that do the exact same thing, including Elgato's own Stream Deck app that you can pay, what is like $3 a month for? Or even Touch Portal, which is another software app for your phone. I'm not saying don't ever buy a Stream Deck. I'm saying maximize your income now when you're not making a lot off of streaming, so you can invest back into things that actually help you make money later and then buy a Stream Deck. But I would say don't buy that drum pad. Yeah, unless you're like an internet drummer. That was a bad call. Number four is where I started getting a little bit smarter. I was getting way more into guitar content. I thought I was gonna be a YouTube electric guitarist. And I had a really nice, in fact, my favorite guitar, it's right here. I had had this guitar for, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years. It's a great guitar. It's my Schecter. It's my absolute favorite. But John Petrucci had just come out with his signature Majesty guitar line, and there was one at the Guitar Center near me. I was not making a lot of money, and it was $3,000, and I bought it. But I made sure to ask what the return policy was in case I regretted it later, and I had a couple weeks. I brought it home, I plugged it in, I played it, and it just wasn't that much different than my current guitar that I loved. And I recognized in that first day, you know what? This is not a $3,000 upgrade. And the next day I brought it back. And the best part about that, by the way, I ended up continuing to use this guitar as my main one until tonight. And I actually, right before shooting this video, went and bought that guitar online. It's not here yet. It'll get here in a couple days. But I did something super important. I waited until it made sense. I just started my own record label. You guys know about Stream Beats, copyright-free music for your streams and for your YouTube videos. Link to those in the description below. This record label is doing very well, and we've got some huge projects coming up. And now it makes sense for me to buy this guitar that I've been looking at for years. Literally, I've been looking at this guitar probably every day for the last 2 months, hovering over the buy button because it didn't make sense until today. I'm very proud of that restraint. I think I impressed myself. And by the way, if you haven't picked up the message from this video yet, that is what I recommend doing. I'm not telling you these things are never worth it. I have now bought 3 more full frame cameras, 4. The new Sony's getting in soon. I would probably buy this microphone nowadays if I didn't already have one, but that's because this is my profession now. It makes a lot of sense, and based off the income of my business and my business being able to buy this equipment, it doesn't take as huge of a hit as it used to, and it does make an improvement in my content, and that's what you should be waiting for. So let's jump to number 5. This one is not actually a piece of equipment. It's one I don't talk about that much, but has come up in 1 or 2 videos and was even shown in my last video, and it's my Tesla. And I bring this one up because I see a lot of creators, kind of medium to large size creators, buy cars. And I don't know the financial situation of a lot of them, but I feel like it's not responsible. However, for me, I don't regret buying my car one bit. My wife and I went and got a Tesla Model 3, literally the cheapest one you could possibly buy, a little over a year ago. I'd been wanting to buy one for 8 months since the channel took off, and we waited until it got to a point where the monthly payments affected our finances nil, right? The money that came out of the bank to the car didn't make an impact at all in our day-to-day lives. And if we'd purchased the car before then, it would have, but we waited until the right moment. But the reason I'm okay with this purchase is because of that. I waited for the right moment. But 2, it was kind of a fruit of my labor. It was a reward to myself, showing myself, hey, you earned this. You worked your butt off for years. It's finally paid off. Now here's something you can sit in and feel that. And anytime you're feeling discouraged, you can go on a drive, let the car drive itself, and remind yourself, hey, you're killing it. You can keep doing this. It was a huge emotional boost for me that I would say has pushed me to continue to do things that made more than that car payment cost every month. Because the point I'm trying to make with these last 2 ones, the guitar I just bought and the Tesla, is that expensive is a subjective term. Something that's expensive for one person might not be expensive for someone else. It's compared to how much money you make, because all money is a representation of the time it took to earn that. So when I bought this camera, it cost me 5 months of my life to earn. That 5 months could have been spent taking time off of work to develop my skills, maybe buying plugins to make my videos more interesting, paying for online courses on how to get more cinematic videos. So many things I could have done with the 5 months of income I spent on that camera. Whereas today, with, let's just say the success of Stream Beats, this camera is no longer expensive to my record label. I'm always, in every one of these videos where I talk about gear, I'm trying to walk the fine line of helping you choose the best gear to buy, reviewing good gear, while also making sure I balance that out with recognizing that gear doesn't make or break a stream, because you should invest in your stream if you want it to be a career. If you want it to be a doctor, you would have to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in school. If you want to be a streamer, you have to invest something in your stream. Just make sure you're spending money on things that will actually help you further the quality of your content, help you further your reach to a new audience, help you actually grow your channel today, so those expensive things today aren't as expensive in a couple months. You feel me? And you know what? If you feel I left something out, again, jump into my stream. Let's talk about money next stream. I think by the time this video comes out on the 9th, the next stream will be either Monday or Tuesday, because I'm going out of town to celebrate my 7-year anniversary with my wife. So make sure you pop in there, link in the description below. Let's talk about it. I hope you found this interesting. I hope you found it helpful, of course. That's the main reason I make these videos. And as always, happy streaming. It's Fall Guy 5214. Whoever you are, I'm sorry your parents didn't love you as a child. I'm sorry you had no friends. I'm sorry that the world has caused you so much pain that you feel the need to cheat at Fall Guys.